This comes as we are commemorating the bicentennial of the first U.S. diplomatic mission in Morocco, the Tangier American Legation, and celebrating over 200 years of friendship between our two countries. Of course, our bilateral relations are even older than that, dating back to the independence of the United States, when Morocco was the first country to recognize our fledgling country. We appreciate Morocco's continuous and valuable support on issues of common interest, such as peace in the Middle East, stability, security, and development across the region and the entire continent of Africa. We're working together to defeat the pandemic. Just this past weekend, the United States provided more than 300,000 Johnson & Johnson vaccines to Morocco. These one-shot vaccines will boost the kingdom's already very successful vaccination campaign. We've also invested more than $15 million in Morocco's COVID-19 response, working with the Ministry of Health and other partners to raise awareness about the virus and to train healthcare workers, study the effectiveness of different vaccines, and provide laboratory equipment and supplies. This past weekend, we were also excited to see the inaugural commercial flight between Tel Aviv and Marrakesh. The United States welcomes Morocco's steps to improve relations with Israel, because this relationship will have long-term benefits for both countries. We also appreciate Morocco's continuous support for the UN's efforts in Libya and its support for removing all foreign forces from that country in preparation for preparation for successful nationwide elections, an essential step towards a stable, unified, and democratic Libya. On Western Sahara, on Western Sahara, we support a credible UN-led political process to stabilize the situation and secure a cessation of all hostilities. We're consulting with the parties about how best to bring about a halt to the violence and ultimately achieve a lasting settlement. We strongly support UN efforts to appoint a personal envoy of the Secretary General for Western Sahara as quickly as possible. We are prepared to be actively engaged with all sides in support of that person. Morocco is also a close partner with the United States on a range of security issues. It participates in more than 100 military engagements with us every year, including African Lion, the largest annual U.S. military exercise on the African continent. And this exercise returned to Morocco last month after a one-year hiatus because of the pandemic. Last year, we signed a 10-year roadmap for defense cooperation, which is a symbol of our long-term strategic cooperation. Morocco is the only country in Africa with which we have a free trade agreement, and we and our companies see Morocco as a gateway to the continent. This year marks the 15th anniversary of that agreement. Both countries have benefited greatly from it through the creation of thousands of jobs in both countries and a five-fold increase in the volume of our trade to over $5 billion annually. I was happy to learn that over 150 American companies operate here in Morocco. During my visit, I'm excited to have a chance to go to the National Library to see our exhibit about the legation's bicentennial and the deep historical ties between our two countries. This exhibition is free and open to the public and will be on display at the National Library until October, when it will move to the Slawi Foundation in Casablanca. So, get your vaccine as soon as possible, put on your mask, and go visit the exhibit. Thank you. And now I would love to take all of your questions. Just a few, actually. Thank you.
سيد
تفضل.
نعلم بأن العلاقات المغربية الأمريكية ممتدة إلى أكثر من 200 سنة كما جاء على لسانكم. هذه العلاقات بدأت تقريبا من التعاون في إطار الحرب العالمية الثانية ثم مرورا بقضية الحرب الباردة. زين؟ نعم.
تفضل.
قلت العلاقات المغربية الأمريكية ممتدة يعني عبر الزمن إلى أكثر من 200 سنة كما جاء على لسانكم، بداية من التعاون في إطار الحرب العالمية الثانية ثم مرورا بالحرب الباردة والمكافحة الإرهاب الدولي. سؤالي يعني ينصب حول تقييمكم الخاص من يعني لهذه العلاقات، وما هو استشرافها في المستقبل، خاصة وأن المغرب الآن هو مستهدف في إطار أزمات يعني إقليمية ودولية خصوصا مع الجارة الجزائر ومع دول أخرى أوروبية.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry that I cannot respond in Arabic, but inshallah someday I will be able to. No, I think that Morocco and the United States share perspectives on all of the regional tensions that you just mentioned. The Biden administration has a regional policy of reducing tensions everywhere because we need to focus on two priorities, all of us, and we can agree on those: ending the pandemic and relaunching our economies. To do that, we need to reduce tension everywhere, whether it's with Algeria, whether it's with Spain, whether it's in Libya, and we are working together to do that. Our perspectives are very much aligned in this area, and you see us, and me personally, here in the region, talking with all of our partners about these objectives.
Sorry.
That's okay.
ما رأيكم في دور المغرب في مسار السلام في الشرق الأوسط؟ وما رأيكم في تطور العلاقات المغربية الإسرائيلية في سياق يعني كل الجهود المبذولة من أجل الحفاظ على الأمن والاستقرار واستئناف عملية
It's okay. It's okay. I think I understood enough of the question between the interpreter's French and my Arabic. Thank you for the question. I think that what we're seeing now is just a fantastic age of these normalization agreements with Israel, including by Morocco, that are going to give the future generations much more hope and much more of a foundation to build upon. Because when there's contact between people, there's more understanding. There are more ways of solving problems as they arise. There's more influence to target and fix problems that we all agree need to be addressed, such as the situation of the Palestinians. And so what the Biden administration's support for these agreements will include is to make sure that the marginalized people, including Palestinians, are put at the center of these normalization efforts. So it's not just the elites of two countries benefiting, but it's everyone. And so that's our hope. Mm-hmm. Well, Morocco has established a very important normalization agreement. We've had the first flight now we've seen. Imagine the effect of Israeli tourists on the economy here. Imagine the influence that His Majesty the King will have with the Israeli government and Israeli society when it comes to addressing very difficult problems like the situation of the Palestinians. I think all of this will increase. Who's next?
Thank you very much. Abdurrahim Asli from His Press. My question on Libya will hold elections in a few months.
Inshallah.
And of course, inshallah. And of course, Morocco play a very important role. Morocco hold a meeting from Skhirat agreement of Skhirat and also meeting of Bosnia. So how the United States see the role of Morocco in the dossier of Libya? My second part of the question concerning the continent of Africa. So Africa, which needs prosperity and development and security, and also Morocco play a very important role in that context. So how do you see Morocco as a provider of security and development in the continent of Africa? Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, I think those two questions are actually aligned because Libya being on the African continent and a very important conflict for the United States and Morocco to help solve together. Our perspectives very much align on this. We want to see all foreign forces leave the country as soon as possible. We want to see all support for proxies and military intervention and militias end. We want to see elections that produce a government that is truly representative of all the Libyan people, so that that government can then conclude its own agreements with countries over what kind of security cooperation it would like to have or not. And so we will continue to work together, working and using our leverage with all the different actors to make sure that there are no spoilers to this process, and to then build upon the results of the election and the departure of military forces. Now, you can also apply this sort of same cooperation to other problem areas in Africa, but I think, as I alluded to, our free trade agreement provides also a corridor from Morocco to the rest of the continent for businesses to conclude new joint ventures and to manufacture more goods and export more goods and to create jobs in all of our countries. So I think those are the perspectives that we're looking at with Morocco.